Welcome to C&S-Sportscast, everyone. I am Sam Deering. That's Christian John. We're excited to have you with us. It's been a slow past few weeks in sports, with the exception of us. So we're going to switch things up a bit. So today we're going to be talking about the Lakers head coaching job, the NBA draft lottery, in regards to the Anthony Davis sweepstakes. This will be an interesting one. The NFL should the NFL consider the draft lottery? The Mad Bums no trade list, and then So let's get started. It's Christian. Let's start it out.
All right. Frank Vogel is the Los Angeles Lakers' next head coach, and I am a big fan of it. I like Frank Vogel. I think he's a good head coach. Now, whether or not he's going to be a good head coach with LeBron James is the question.
Yeah, I mean, I like it. I'll be honest. If there's any coach that can work with LeBron, it's Tyronn Lue. But I definitely think he made the right decision in backing out because he had no authority at all whatsoever in choosing his team or his coaching staff. They would have chose it for him, which is why I definitely think he made the right move. And yeah, I definitely agree with you. I think Frank Vogel's the right choice. I think the first thing Lakers fans and definitely fans around the NBA are going to look at is the relationship between Frank Vogel and LeBron James.
Yeah, it's obviously the biggest question mark heading into next season is how they will mesh together. And I think that's unfair to Frank Vogel because everybody's either going to look at his relationship with LeBron or they're going to look at Jason Kidd's right behind him. Is Jason Kidd going to be the Lakers' next head coach? And people have already talked about that. Well, Frank Vogel is still the head coach, and he hasn't coached a game for the Lakers yet. And everybody wants to talk about his relationship with LeBron or Jason Kidd.
Jason Kidd was one of the front runners too, and I think they made the right decision in hiring him as an assistant coach because, like we said before, it's not just the Lakers; it's to see if Jason Kidd can still coach a team. So, and he's an assistant coach. It's not like he has any higher authority than he had before. So I think the job he took and the position that he's in right now is a perfect place for him to get back on his feet and hopefully earn a head coaching job. But yeah, anything you want to add on to the Lakers?
No, that's pretty much it. I also do. I kind of want to plea with everybody listening to not judge Frank Vogel right away before he coaches. He's a good coach. He made it to 2 Eastern Conference Finals. If it wasn't for LeBron and that super team in Miami, he may have coached an NBA champion. So I really think everybody should give Frank Vogel a chance in Los Angeles first before people already pine for him not being the head coach and it being Jason Kidd.
And to top off of the Lakers, I'll say this too: people also need to stop saying that LeBron is the problem in LA, which is ridiculous because if he was the problem in LA, if without him in LA, the Lakers would be twice as worse. So, and I think they have some work to do in the offseason, especially after Magic Johnson stepping down, which shocked a lot of people. So they definitely have some work to do this offseason. But if they make the right moves and draft really well, I think they could be a playoff contending team potentially next season.
I actually don't think they'll take I don't think the player they draft at 4 will ever play a game for the Lakers. But that goes into our next topic on what New Orleans should do now that they won the draft lottery. What should they do with Anthony Davis?
So I've been pondering this past few days, and top off your last comment about whoever the Lakers drafted for, I don't think that this draft is not deep at all. Zion, people have a lot of faith in Zion. His athleticism is unreal. I'll give you that. And if there's anyone in our division that's going to pass LeBron or even be remotely close to Zion, but I don't see it happening. Zion's a franchise player, but he's not going to pass LeBron. And people need to stop making these assumptions that he's going to be as good as LeBron, if not better. No, it's ridiculous. But for AD, this is what I think they should do. I think they should trade AD to the Knicks, and I think the Pelicans should acquire the third pick. So 1 and 3 should be Zion and RJ Barrett. I think that would be amazing, um, especially after I'm getting this wrong. Tyreek Evans. Um, I'm sorry, wrong team. But I think that would work perfectly in a rebuilding situation. I just don't see him going to the Lakers, um, especially after like all the talks. But then again, Magic Johnson was the GM, so I think it could go either way. But if I'm the Pelicans, I would definitely trade them. I would trade them to the Knicks, and because the Knicks have 2 max contracts, um, and they could easily acquire that third pick. And I think the Knicks definitely have the assets to do it and to give everything up. Um, but it's also tough on the Knicks side because why would you also you're going to give away all your guys like Kevin Knox, Frank Nicklino, not like he was anything, Dennis Smith, um, for two guys, KD potentially or Kyrie and Anthony Davis. So I think it could go both ways. Um, but I definitely think the Pelicans should consider trying to grab that third pick. So having Zion and RJ Barrett in the same team, and it could potentially make RJ make a better name for himself in the league. What do you think?
I don't like what package the Knicks could put together. The third pick is probably the best part about it, but then it's Kevin Knox and, like you said, maybe Frank Ntilikina or Dennis Smith Jr., who neither of those guys have really showed what people expected them to possibly be in the NBA yet, which I get they're still young, but they haven't even really shown any flashes. I think the best place to send him is Los Angeles to the Lakers. David Griffin is now running the show in New Orleans, and we know LeBron and David Griffin loved each other in Cleveland. LeBron really wanted Griffin to be back instead of Kobe Altman. So I think Griffin will have no problem trading him to Los Angeles for the fourth pick. And then Kyle Kuzma, Brandon Ingram, a package like that, I think it's much better. Kuzma has had 2 really nice seasons now, and Brandon Ingram has definitely shown more flashes than a guy like Dennis Smith Jr. I do think the drop off between RJ Barrett and a guy like Jarrett Culver is kind of significant, but I think the difference between Kuzma and whatever the Knicks can offer is just too good to pass up on if you're New Orleans. But I also think if Boston's willing to give you Jason Tatum, that's something maybe you should jump at a Jason Tatum plus.
I was also going to top off with that too. My second team was definitely the Boston Celtics because yes, Jason Tatum, Kyrie Irving is most likely out, as we've seen in the Eastern Conference semifinals against Milwaukee. If you look at that stat line, they're better without Kyrie, and I think it's safe to say that Kyrie is about, I'd say, 90 to 95% on his way out of Boston. And I would also think about you could even try trading Jaylen Brown too. And I think you could get quite a bit of value seeing how much he's progressed throughout the past year or two in Boston. But yeah, I think AD would fit quite nicely in Boston as well. So that's also my number 2 team for him going there. So NBA draft lottery. Um, I love this idea, and this will flow into our next topic because it avoids teams from tanking. So that goes into our next one. I know the past few days, I think today they just named where the next few years of the NFL draft are. Um, so 2020, I believe, is Kansas City. 2021 is Cleveland. Or no, I'm sorry. 2020 is Vegas. 2021 is Cleveland. 2023 is
Kansas City.
Kansas City 22 is yet to be determined. So, with all the talk of the NFL draft locations, should the NFL draft consider the lottery to avoid teams from tanking? What do you think?
I think no. I think this is a terrible idea. I mean, first off, how would you determine who's in the lottery? Every team that misses the playoffs? I think that's not a great idea because there's good 9-7 teams, and even if they have a less than 1% chance of winning the lottery and they do, that would just ruin everything. I think the NBA is the only professional sport. Well, the NBA and I know the NHL does it, but who cares?
Who
But,
cares? Yeah.
but I think it's good for the NBA, and that's it. Tanking in the NBA is much worse of a problem than tanking in the NFL. I don't really think any team in the NFL really tanked this year. I mean, Arizona handed out $20 million to Sam Bradford to play quarterback for a year to try and be decent. That's not really tanking. They use the salary cap. Most teams do. So I don't see tanking as a problem that needs to be fixed in the NFL. Thus, I don't think the lottery should exist in the NFL.
I agree with your points, and I think it definitely could go both ways. Um, I think it's something the NFL should definitely consider, just because, yes, it would avoid teams tanking. And I know there's all these rumors, which I think is absolutely ridiculous, and we can talk about this about Tua when when the NFL draft obviously gets closer in 2020. But there's rumors, oh, they're going to try to tank for Tua. Why would you tank for a player that has proved nothing yet, that he's NFL capable? I don't believe in any teams trying to tank for a player. But going off of your comment, I think it's almost difficult to tell in the NFL when teams are actually tanking because, like you said before, they paid Sam Bradford what $20-something million contract, and like Arizona, like we talked about this way before, like Steve Wilkes, Josh Rosen, all those guys are set up for failure, and that front office needs to figure it out. And personally, if I'm the GM of Arizona, I like Kyler Murray, and he worries me. And now that he's a starting quarterback, I think he should have went to a team where he would have sat for at least a year. But going back to my point, I definitely think it's a lot more difficult to tell when teams are tanking because if you have teams like the Arizona Cardinals or even, I guess the New York Jets, they have all that cap space, but they're just wasting their money. I shouldn't say the Jets, the Cardinals. $35 million quarterback. So I think it definitely goes both ways. I think it's something they should consider. But at the same time, it's not a huge need because if you look at the top few picks that were in this last draft, it's usually the Browns going 0-16, but the Cardinals had what? Were they 3-13?
Yes.
Yeah. So, and with that roster, you can't really blame them because I'd say the talent of that roster is about right. But I don't think it's a serious issue, but I definitely think it could be potentially something to consider in many years to come. But I think as of right now, I don't think it's a serious issue, but I think it definitely would be a really interesting thing to consider.
Well, look who picked number 2. I mean, the 49ers weren't trying to tank actively. They picked second because Jimmy Garoppolo got hurt.
Well, not at all. Yeah, right. Jimmy Garoppolo's hurt. Jerick McKinnon's hurt. The 49ers are struggling with injuries. If the 49ers didn't have injuries, they wouldn't even be a top 10 pick, let alone maybe even a top 15. They might have even won that division with Jimmy Garoppolo.
That's why I'm saying I think it's a non-issue. I think it's something the NFL shouldn't even consider right now. Was the NBA draft lottery fun this year? Yes. Was it something every draft should consider? I don't think so. I think it only makes sense for the NBA.
Yeah, yeah, and like I said, it definitely goes both ways. I don't think it's a serious issue, but I definitely think it could be something to consider um, for many years to come. But like, I guess going off of your point, Niners weren't tanking for Bosa. Their roster injuries. It's not like the Jets were tanking for Quinnen Williams or even Josh Allen if he were to go that far. They just have young talent, and they're also in a division where the Patriots just win every year, so they just get unlucky. And then the Cardinals, like the NFC West, is one of the best divisions in the NFC. So, um, I'm not really saying they get screwed, but they obviously easily have the weakest. They probably have the weakest roster, but they also have a very young squad, and Cliff Kingsbury has a lot on his shoulders. So it brings us to our fourth point. So this flipping gears to baseball. It's about a week or so ago. Madison Bumgarner, who's been in the trade talks for a while, gave his no trade list. He gave 8 contending teams, which are the Yankees, who we all know have actually the first 2 teams, Yankees and Astros, who we all know have been dealing with quite a bit of starting rotation injuries. The Astros, who already have a pretty solid rotation core, the Atlanta Braves, the Philadelphia Phillies, the Chicago Cubs, who already actually their starting rotation has been pretty strong right now. The Milwaukee Brewers. I know Zach Davies had a struggling game tonight. I think his ERA went up just above 2 today. And then the St. Louis Cardinals. So, what are your thoughts on this no trade list? And where do you think, I guess, 1 or 2 teams that you could potentially see him ending up on?
I love this. I think this is great for players gaining some control back. Dallas Keuchel and Craig Kimbrell are still free agents. It's May 22nd, and 2 guys of that caliber still are unemployed.
It's ridiculous. So Craig Kimbrell, he wanted a $100 million contract. And obviously, at this point, neither of those guys are going to get that, even though they're worth that money. Craig Kimbrell lowered his price range to I would believe it was like 3 years, 45 mil. But it's still shocking to me. Not even a team, especially on this list, would sign him. I think I'm surprised the Braves weren't even we're signing at least one of those guys.
So
but go ahead, continue.
This is a player of that caliber who has been given 8 teams that he can block a trade to. Obviously, the Giants will be sellers at the deadline. So Madison Bumgarner is smart enough to go, who are 8 teams that would most likely trade for me? He puts them on the no-trade list, and now he gets last say if he's traded. I love it. I think this is great for baseball. I think every other player that has no trade rights should look at Madison Bumgarner's list and adjust theirs accordingly.
Yeah, I definitely agree. And honestly, I think every team could use it. But I think there's certain teams on this list that need it more than others on this, especially definitely the Yankees and the Red Sox, the first teams that definitely come to mind for me. Yeah, I think the Brewers, and then again, I know we're leaving our bias at the table. Yes, the Brewers need them, but they also have 2 pretty strong pitchers right now. But then again, if you get down to the bottom of the rotation, like Freddie Peralta and Brandon Woodruff, I shouldn't say Brandon Woodruff. Yeah, Brandon Woodruff.
Woodruff's been strong lately. Brandon Woodruff's had a good
But if you're looking for a guy to replace Freddie Peralta and send him down to the pen, who I was at the game last night, they pitched Freddie Peralta out of the pen. And because he wasn't awful, but could have been a lot better. But then he didn't give up any runs. He pitched about an inning. But I get if you're looking for a guy to replace Freddie Peralta and send him down to the pen, because I personally think Freddie Peralta's down better in the pen. But I think this is definitely something you could talk about down the road because the Brewers have such a young pitching core where you can't like base like about a month and a half to probably 2 months of the season based on talent. Um, but that can be something we talk about later down the road. But the Astros already have a strong pitching core. And Justin Verlander, I'm pretty sure Garrett Cole just got off the IL. And Wade Miley. Um, but I like the Yankees. James Paxton's still in the IL. Actually, he just got off yesterday, right?
I'm pretty sure he's still
He's
on the
still
injured
on.
list.
He's still on. David Price is on the IL. We all know the Red Sox have had a struggling rotation all year. So I definitely think the Yankees and the Red Sox are definitely my top two teams that um, definitely could need it more than others. And I think the Braves could really use Craig Kimbrell. Um, yeah, it's just shocking to me, and even like other players that should like consider doing this. Like, I know you're a free agent, but like, I guess like in the future, even like now, like they don't have a whole lot of authority just because they're unsigned free agents. But it's just shocking to me that aces and like all-star pitchers like Kimbrel and Keuchel are still on the list, are still on the market when we know darn well that there are plenty of teams that could really use him. Even some of these 8 teams on this list. So, sorry. Do you have a last thing to add?
No, I'm done with my baseball rant about
All right.
Craig
Yeah.
Kimbrell, Dallas
It,
Keuchel still being.
it's going to be interesting, and it's really surprising, and we all the MLB draft's coming up in a month, so it'll be interesting to see if Keuchel and Kimbrel sign like after that draft, or even it'll be interesting to see if Mad Bum is traded within the next few weeks. It's going to be very interesting. Definitely a debate that'll be a pretty fun discussion in weeks to come. That brings us to our last discussion. Um, Reverse back to football. So you and I kind of have like a mixed relationship between Dak Prescott. Um, I was watching the Will Kane show the other day, and he says Dak Prescott is better. And yes, he's a Cowboys fan, but he says Dak Prescott is better than Carson Wentz. Changed my mind. Now, this isn't the debate that I intended to have, but this debate is Dak Prescott, and the Cowboys have been in contract talks with him for a while. And I know yesterday they were looking at Zeke. They want to make him the highest paid running back in the NFL. And
Makes sense.
right, Zeke deserves the contract. Now, how much is Dak Prescott really worth? Because knowing the Cowboys, I definitely think Jerry Jones could make him one of the highest paid quarterbacks in the NFL. How much do you think Dak Prescott is worth?
I think he's worth more than a guy like Kirk Cousins. I think he's worth more than a guy like Alex Smith was last year. I think he's worth more than a
You
guy like
think
Joe
Dak Prescott?
Flacco.
So they paid Alex Smith 94 mil.
Yep.
You think Dak Prescott is worth more than $94 million?
Yes, I do.
Do you think he's worth $100 million?
Yes, I do. To the Cowboys, yeah, I think to
If
keep
he was on any team other than the Dallas Cowboys, would he be worth that amount of money?
that
Would Dak Prescott be
that's
as
a
good?
discussion you can't have.
Huh?
I don't know. We don't live in that world. I don't know. I don't know the answer to that question. All I know
The,
is we live in the world where Dak Prescott plays for the Cowboys, and he's 32-16 in his career. I think
there's so many discussions you can have about the Cowboys. It just blows my mind. And I personally, how much was Russell Wilson paid? Can you remind me of that contract?
$35 million a year.
What's up?
$35 million a year.
Do you think he's worth that? Do you think he's worth a Russell
No.
Wilson contract? No.
I said he's worth
I
more.
agree. I agree. I don't think Alex Smith should have been paid that much. It kind of confused me seeing as the Redskins didn't even want to pay Kirk Cousins that much money, but they go and pay like they didn't want to pay a quarterback that much money. which is
No, if
understandable. But then they go and pay Alex Smith $94 million. I don't think Dak
they
Prescott is
wanted to pay
worth
a
90.
quarterback, just
What?
not Kirk Cousins. No, they wanted to pay a quarterback. It just wasn't Kirk Cousins because they knew more than the Vikings did that Kirk Cousins isn't very good at.
Where do you rank Dak Prescott in your quarterbacks? Is
Oh
Dak
man.
Prescott a top like you don't have to name any order? Is Dak Prescott a top 15 quarterback to you?
Yeah. Oh yeah. Definitely. I
Is
would say he's
Dak
probably in my
Prescott
top
the best
12.
quarterback in the NFC East? He's in your top 12. I would put Dak Prescott in my top 20. I would say let's go to Will Canes. This is just a perfect to have with this how much he's worth. Is Dak Prescott better than Carson Wentz?
The best ability is availability, and Dak Prescott has never missed a game.
That's the only exception you can make is injuries, which I can understand. Not going to argue that at all. But you're telling me Carson Wentz, a guy who went down, had one of the best years, he was set to win the MVP.
Yep.
He had one of the best years of what any rookie quarterback entering the league.
Great year, yeah.
Exactly.
He's had 2 really good years.
I agree, absolutely. And they made the right decision not letting him go and releasing Foles. But you're telling me that he's not better than Dak Prescott.
How's Carson Wentz played in the playoffs in his career?
Carson Wentz didn't even play in the playoffs because he's been hurt.
Oh.
Yes, I know. Because
thanks. I forgot.
I told you. Yes, injuries you can't complain about, and I'm not going to argue that because I know you're right on that one.
I want to know my quarterback's going to be able to play in the playoffs.
Okay.
Dak Prescott's the guy who's been able to play in the playoffs.
Dak Prescott is a product of the Dallas Cowboys offensive line.
That's fine.
And
he plays fine.
And we all know Dallas still has a solid offensive line, but we all know losing Travis Frederick was huge.
He was at OTA today.
That's good. I know. You're right. So last season, losing him was big with the health issue.
Yeah.
So I think they drafted Connor Williams last year, thinking he was going to pan out, and he did not pan out.
That was 1 year.
Right. I know. I'm with you in that you can't determine 1 year of talent, but they go and draft Connor McGovern, not knowing the health of Travis Frederick, which is smart. But we all know after last season that the Dallas Cowboys offensive line was not as good. And obviously, yes, they're still in the top 10, but you got to see just how good Dak Prescott was.
And he was pretty darn good.
He's still good.
He almost threw 4,000 yards. He had the best year of his career last year. Dak Prescott was great last year. If I could have that Dak Prescott every year, I would pay him like a top 10 quarterback. Dak Prescott can get it done with his legs, too. And he doesn't get hurt. He's done it with his legs and he hasn't gotten hurt.
How about this one? If you're the Cowboys, do you pay Dak or Zeke?
You pay both of them because you can.
If you had the money to only pay, if they're both up right now, and you only had the money to pay one of them, who are you paying?
See, that's tough because I don't know where they are with their. I mean, obviously, this fictitious scenario would have to come up to a draft. It depends where we're picking. But I think I'd rather have Dak Prescott. I could find a running back somewhere else. I know you're a big Aaron Jones fan, and Aaron Jones was a mid-round pick. Aaron Jones is a really good running back. A guy like...
Did you say I'm not a fan of Aaron Jones?
No, you are a big fan of Aaron Jones. I love him.
And he's going to... This is way down the road. He's going to be a top 10... I think Aaron Jones is going to be a top 10 running back this year with that LaFleur offense.
You can find a running back late.
I know you can.
James Conner was great this year, and he was a mid-round pick. Guy like Marlon Mack. You can find a running back. You can't find a quarterback. It's tough to find a quarterback. The Browns finally got one. How long did that take them? When you have a franchise guy, you got to hold on to him.
See that the Browns also have the issue of starting every rookie quarterback they draft, which
look how long it's
we all know
the
that doesn't pan out. We all know it doesn't pan out. Look how long the Browns take. I know. And the Browns played it smart because if Tyrod Taylor was healthy the entire year, Baker Mayfield may or may not have played down in the NFL. Or not in the NFL, that his rookie year. But they played it smart in drafting a quarterback to learn behind to have mentor Baker Mayfield. Not saying Tyrod Taylor's the right choice, but they still drafted a veteran quarterback. And they look what they turned Baker Mayfield into. I know it's 1 year, and he could have a sophomore slump. Not saying he's going to. I definitely don't think he's going to have one.
Yeah, they got
But
it right.
They made the right choice. And Kyler Murray, he worries me because
you know who doesn't worry me? Dak Prescott. He's played every game, entire career. He's played every single game. He is going to be on the field.
And Carson Wentz is going to be fully healthy.
Yup.
For week 1.
He was fully healthy last year too, and then he got hurt again.
What did Dak Prescott do the year that Carson Wentz was set to win an MVP?
That was He didn't have a great year.
What does Dallas do in the playoffs?
Last year they won a game in the playoffs. Last year
they won nothing. No, they won 1 game. Jason Garrett is coaching for his job next year.
How many games did Carson Wentz win in his career in the playoffs?
Again, you're going to bring this up again.
You're trying to tell me that Dak Prescott's won more playoff games in his career than Carson.
Does Dak Prescott have a ring? No, he doesn't.
Did Carson Wentz play in the Super Bowl that he got his ring in?
No, he didn't. Does Dak Prescott win in big situations? No, he doesn't. And you're going to bring this injury thing up again? No.
When has Carson Wentz played in a big situation? Ah, that's right. He was hurt. He was hurt for all of them. He went away. Nick Foles came in. Nick Foles, the guy the Rams cut. He was so bad the Rams didn't want him anymore. So the Chiefs brought him in to be a backup.
Who is now not he's making what, $88 million?
Yep.
To be another mediocre quarterback in the league.
Yeah, and a mediocre team won with the Eagles. Proving my point. Carson Wentz might not even be that good. What if Carson Wentz wasn't on the Eagles? He might not be that good either.
And what if Dak Prescott was not on the Cowboys?
He might not be that good.
He'd be a top 30, top 25 quarterback.
Last year, and you even said it yourself, the Cowboys' offensive line was the worst it's been since he's been a quarterback, and he had the year of his career. He almost threw for 4,000 yards. He ran for over 300. Dak Prescott is a quarterback you know is going to be on the field. Carson Wentz is not. Dak Prescott is a much better quarterback than guys who are getting paid way more than what I assume he will get paid. He's better than Kirk Cousins. He's probably better than Matthew Stafford. He's better than Joe Flacco. He's better than Alex Smith was before he got hurt. He's better than Cam Newton. He's better than all those guys.
Well, obviously he's better than Joe Flacco because Joe Flacco's washed up. Obviously Kirk Cousins because Kirk Cousins is one of the most overrated quarterbacks in this league, if not the. And don't bring this up to me because we've already had this conversation before that I thought Kirk Cousins was a top 15 quarterback. And I don't want we're not gonna bring that up. Matthew Stafford, okay. After last year, yes. Dak Prescott is better than Stafford.
Yep, way better. Right?
But Stafford still puts up decent numbers with
because they're always down.
Yes, with a garbage team.
They're hollow numbers. His numbers
with a garbage team. Detroit's O-line is below average, mediocre. And Dak Prescott has all the help of if Dak
What do you mean? They had to trade a first-round pick for Amari Cooper, so he had somebody to throw to.
Exactly.
Yeah, I mean,
exactly. No, because I don't even know what side we're both taking. Because you're saying, yes, I know you're saying you'd rather pay Dak than Carson Wentz because of his injuries, and I'm not going to argue that because that's the truth. But we're both coming to the agreement on if you put Dak Prescott on a team that's not the Dallas Cowboys, he's not putting up those numbers.
I never said that once.
Well, that's the truth. He's not putting up those numbers. You said he might not be that good.
You can't. Yeah, he might not be. He could be even better.
He's not.
What if he had weapons like Matt Ryan has? Matt Ryan gets to throw to Julio Jones, and now he gets to throw to Calvin Ridley. He had Devontae Freeman and Tevin Coleman, and they couldn't make the playoffs. He's getting $30 million, and they couldn't make the playoffs. Kirk Cousins got $28 million, and he gets to throw to Kyle Rudolph, Adam Thielen, and Stephon Diggs, and they couldn't make the playoffs.
See, that is a conversation that can also take forever, because the fact that that offense does not do it, like, had that much talent and doesn't make the playoffs, Mike Zimmer better be on the hot seat next season.
Cam Newton has Christian McCaffrey.
Cam, I agree. Cam
couldn't make playoffs.
Cam, I 100% agree.
Andy Dalton hasn't made the playoffs, and I don't remember how long. And he never won a playoff game in his career.
Andy Dalton is also garbage, which he had AJ Green throwing to him, or he got to throw to AJ Green, a top 5 receiver in the league. He also had to throw to Mohamed Sanu for a while. Tyler Boyd. He has Tyler Eifert to throw to, but then again, you can pull the injury card out again when he's healthy.
And Dak Prescott's had trash to throw to until they finally got him Amari Cooper. Jason Witten came out of retirement because Dak Prescott didn't have a tight end last year to throw to, a reliable tight end. So I don't think it's fair to say that he would be worse. Yeah, he's had Ezekiel Elliott. No doubt. Ezekiel Elliott's a great running back, and he's had a good offensive line his entire career. But still, he has not had a lot to throw to. They signed Allen Hurns thinking Allen Hurns was going to be a great wide receiver for them.
They signed Ryan Switzer.
Right. You could go on with the guys the Cowboys.
Tavon Austin. Des Bryant. Des Bryant. That's a prime example.
An older Des Bryant he had for 2 years.
Terrence Williams. Cole Beasley.
You're just naming guys now. You're not naming good receivers. You're just naming guys.
No, I'm naming guys they went through.
Yeah, right. And they're just guys. I mean, none of those guys are good. He's had people to throw to because you need that on an NFL roster, but none of these have been quality pass catchers. They finally get him one in Amari Cooper, and Dak Prescott lights it up with Amari Cooper.
The Eagles also have a top 5 offensive line, and Carson Wentz still puts up numbers.
And Carson Wentz still can't stay healthy with a top 5 offensive line.
He's fully healthy.
He was fully healthy last year when he got hurt.
He's fully healthy going into 2019, and I would love to come back to this discussion.
So would I.
When both teams make the playoffs. All right. That was a very eventful night. So thanks for joining us. Thanks for hanging in there. Love to switch things up a bit. But yeah, we will see you next week.